You're watching Sunday Sound Off with Mick Schaefer.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sunday Sound Off, where you get a chance to be part of the conversation on everything sports, and in this case, other stuff as well. Tweet us your questions and comments using the hashtag Sunday Sound Off, and we'll include you in the show. We're like the MLB All-Star Game, right? In the vote. Let's introduce tonight's panel. Soren Petro is an angry radio guy from Sports Radio 810. Blair Kirchhoff is an angry newspaper guy from The Star, and Cody Tapp just happy to be here. He's fine. He likes to be invited to places. Is that right, gentlemen?
Sounds good to me. I don't know. I'm just thrilled that I get to do this show with a guy who's ready to teach Lit 104. I'm not sure what that jacket is, Cody's
that
wearing.
Right there. Yes, he's the cool English teacher that always stands on his desk.
Yes, that's the important part of this. How dare you? I try to dress up for Mick, and then I get made fun of.
Yeah, that's how it works. It's been a nice Sunday, by the way, for Blair as well. He's got his polo on and everything.
Mick, it's just good to see you on TV after all these years.
I know. First timer here. All right, fellas, here's our hot topics of the evening. Piping hot. Careful. Who's the biggest all-star snub? Are the Royals a home run team? And number 3, what's the next thing to happen in the border Cold War? But first, to our question of the week, with the Royals at the season's midway point, who is the team MVP / LVP? And Soren, LVP, like least valuable player, and if you explain to you.
Thank you.
Let's start with you. All-Stars were announced today, so you have some help. What's your answer?
I do, and I'm so glad I get to go first because I think this is a couple of no-brainers here. MVP is Jason Vargas. He's 12-3 on the year. The team is 12-4 when he starts. He's up for the starting nod here in the All-Star game. I think he's absolutely the guy that really kept them afloat early on when they were drowning at 10-20. Where would they have been without Jason Vargas? So I think without a doubt he is the MVP, and the least valuable player is clearly the guy who's got the biggest check. Alex Gordon's the highest paid guy on this team. His OPS is below 600. For those that aren't really into the statistics, that's really, really bad. Now, I know he started to hit a little more of late, and hopefully he'll be strong in the second half. But Alex Gordon has just been a terrible disappointment. They're counting on this guy to be a major run producer in addition to a great defensive player, and that just hadn't been there this year.
All right, Cody, that's a midday radio host answer right there, okay? What's the nighttime guy have to say?
Still says Vargas is the MVP because mostly it was the beginning part of the season when that team was still struggling at 10-20 and trying to crawl itself back into 500. The one thing they could always count on was Jason Vargas coming through with a win, and they needed that. At a time when their team really struggled, Jason Vargas was always the guy who'd led them to the promised land. And he's the only guy who didn't go through some kind of prolonged slump. Even Eric Hosmer started slow. Mike Moustakas had cold stretches. And Jason Vargas, for the most part, has been solid this entire first half of the season. As far as least valuable player, I get why Alex Gordon is at the top of most lists, but I think it's Alcides Escobar. He makes a lot less than Alex Gordon, but he was being relied on at the top of the lineup at a time when the team really needed it, and he just didn't help them get anywhere further down the road. Now, he's been a lot better, and in this series, obviously, he had 7 RBI against the Twins, but I just think his reliance at the top and their need to rely on him, plus a little bit of declining defense, they've both been bad. I mean, they could be co-least valuable players because 1 through 6 have carried it. But just the importance of where they let him hit in the lineup for so long and seeing what Whit Merrifield has done in that spot gives it to Alcides Escobar.
Co-LVPs. It's a cop-out. Blair, I feel like this should be your column tomorrow. You thought of this idea. No pressure. I want something good and creative here.
Well, so we're not talking about for MVP the guy who's at 22 home runs and chasing down Balboni, or we're not talking about the leading vote getter at his position for the 4th straight, at catcher, Sal Perez for the 4th straight year, or the first baseman who's leading the team in hitting. We're talking about a pitcher who takes the ball, every 5th day. But Soren and Cody are absolutely right. Jason Vargas is the MVP of this team. And for the reasons that Cody explained, when they were having that terrible April, Vargas was the one guy they can count on to give him a good pitching performance. For least valuable player, I'll go with Brandon Moss. So they're getting nothing at the DH role. And like Gordon, Escobar, he has swung the bat well lately. Had a good series against the Twins, but they're not getting. In terms of the DH, they've got to get a guy that's. You got to have a guy that's got more than 10 home runs and hitting, much better than the 200 or so that Brandon Moss is at right now.
All incorrect answers. Whit Merrifield, actually, the correct answer. MVP right there, and then Raul Mondesi, least valuable player. He's not even on the roster. That's how least valuable he is. All right, fellas, up next, our hot topics. Bill Self emphasizing what sport he coaches, Royals visit Dongtown, and did Moose or Haas deserve better? You're watching Sunday Sound Off.